went on a whim.
You just went on a whim and just bumped.
Well, you know what it is, man. Like where we grew up, it wasn't a lot of stuff going on. So one of the things that we used to do, particularly as kids, because by this time we're getting into high school, we start driving cars and stuff like that. And so, like one of our favorite pastimes, man, was just to go to the record store. Like me and him would go to the record store. And now keep in mind, we ain't had no money. Well, you might go to the record store.
Look at who it was.
Exactly. You might go to the record store with maybe $10. You know what I'm saying? So I might go there with $10. So if I go there with $10, I got to be very selective about what I can get, because I can either get the cassette singles, I maybe can get a couple of those, or I can get somebody's tape. But if you buy somebody's tape, that tape better be smoking. So because you're in. And that was another thing as us as hip hop fans, was that we were totally invested in the music that we purchased because you spent your money. You know what I'm saying? Again, we were kids. So we spent a lot of time in the record stores, and we would spend hours in the record store. He just happened to go one day. I wasn't with him, but he bought the tape, and he's like, man, I got something I want you to hear. And so he played it. And I was like, man, yo, who is this? Because even the West Coast rappers that we had heard before, they didn't sound like this. And Ice Cube and D.O.C. stood out on that NWA and the Posse tape.
So I'm going to trip you out. Guess who else was? So there's two other people on this album that had seminal careers that were on this album.
Outside of
not an NWA at all. What, like I'm just realizing this now from reading this.
Okay. Hey, man.
So one of them had a big joint. One had a bigger joint first. Both of them were smooth songs. One was like, it was kind of like, it's a term for having sex that was named from this guy, one of the guy's songs. That was a name that was at least 5 years that we used it for having sex.
And I'm not gonna look it up. Damn.
What did we say? Like, man, we was
Splack.
No. This early 90s.
I'm thinking about old Southern terms, Splack.
So okay, on the episode of Martin, remember episode of Martin? Because you all know, because you're a Martin fan. When they had the fight party, and Tommy was messing with Cole's girl in the bedroom. And he caught him because he went in there to go get something. And he came out, he's like, Gina, they was in there. They was knocking in there. Yes.
Wow.
Candyman was in NWA and the Posse.
Now that I did not know.
There's one more person. So he redid the Denise Williams song and flipped it. And he also had Ass Gas and what was the other thing? It was Ass Gas or something though. He redid Denise Williams song Free. But it was called The Most Beautiful MC in the World.
Oh, you gotta tell me that. I don't know.
KD.
Wow, for real?
KD is in NWA and the Posse.
Wow, I had no idea.
Dude, yeah.
30 something, almost 40 years later. Wow.
That's crazy. So when I was in the research, I was like, hold on, KD and Candyman was in
not Kevin Durant, kids, not Kevin Durant.
No, yeah, KD is, he had one song, Most Beautiful, and then he also has the song for all you kids that may have if you guys remember the movie in Friday where he's sitting there drinking the Kool-Aid. He's like, it's called Ass Gas and what is the name of that song? It's Ass Gas and something like that. Ass Gas and Cash is the name of the album. And the name of the song too, and it's in Friday, where Smokey is sitting there drinking the Kool-Aid while he's high, trying to eat and stuff. That's the KD song that's playing behind that.
Okay.
But his biggest song was The Freshest MC in the World. That was the biggest song. And then he also had that song Hidden Corners too. Or whatnot. So, but those are all in the group. So D.O.C. in that group as well. D.O.C. he's a writer as well with Cube on Straight Outta Compton, but is he credited? Is one of my questions.
I don't think he's credited like how he probably should, because I'm almost certain that as far as Eazy-E's rhymes, either Cube or D.O.C. wrote them. And I think if you listen long enough and you get the cadences and stuff like that, you can kind of tell which ones Eazy wrote. I mean, which ones Ice Cube wrote and which ones the D.O.C. wrote. I don't think he wrote for Ren. I think Ren wrote his own rhymes. And again, this is something big because at this time, we're talking about 87, 88. I mean, like nobody could write your rhymes. Like you would never be respected as an MC if somebody else wrote your rhymes. That's why I'm still mind boggled that, you know, a certain rapper who has dominated the game for so long admitted to having ghostwriters and everybody was cool with it. But that's another story for another day. No shade. But yeah, it's so yeah, I'm almost certain that he wrote for exclusively for Eazy-E and probably Dre. I don't know that Dre really wrote a lot. Obviously Dre was on the production side. I don't think so. I don't think so.
And he don't even say that he writes.
Yeah, I don't think Dre writes. He might write something here or there, but you know when somebody's writing, whoever Dre is rhyming with probably wrote his rhymes. I just kind of think that. Yeah, I mean, you know, if he rhymed with Snoop, Snoop wrote it. So you know, it is what it is. But yeah, that was something back in the day. Like nobody else could write your rhyme. So, but Eazy-E wasn't. If you saw the movie Straight Outta Compton, that's probably closer to being accurate than anything else. Like Eazy-E was not a MC. You know, he was the front man. He was the gangster. He was the guy who put him on. But yeah, the D.O.C. was an incredible writer, and I don't think he got the credit he probably deserved. But he also knew at that particular time his time was coming.
You know, he is accredited.
Okay, he is okay. Good.
He's credited on, just for the listeners, he's credited on Straight Outta Compton. Parental discretion is advised.
He rhymed on that one.
Right. So those are the only two.
Okay.
That he's credited. So if he's on, so who would he write then for? Because I thought Cube wrote Eazy's verse on that song, because only Cube, Eazy, and Ren on Straight Outta Compton.
Well, you got to remember too that in this particular time, things weren't as advanced as how things are now. So you could definitely write for somebody and ghostwrite, and they just, you know, pay you some money. I mean, he was a part of the group, so it wasn't
Biggie was big with that. Biggie was big with that.
So it was like, you know, okay, I got you. You know, it's no big deal.
Okay, fair enough. So D.O.C. is a part of Ruthless Records. He is getting ready to come out. And the interesting thing is, Ruthless Records, if you look at their record label, they actually dropped their artists at that time. Like there was a time, a lot of labels then, people would be signed there for 5 years, never drop, or they drop an album way after they have their little buzz that they had. They dropped him right after Straight Outta Compton.
Had to. The iron was still hot. You had to, because the iron was still hot. So that was a smart move by Jerry Heller.
You think it's Jerry Heller or Eazy-E?
That was Jerry. I think it was Jerry and Eazy. I think even if you look back and that Straight Outta Compton movie kind of painted Jerry a certain way, but Jerry Heller was a shrewd businessman, just like anybody else was. But Eazy-E was definitely a brain behind some of the moves they were making, and Eazy-E handled and really came from the street. So, you know, his way of dealing things and his way of getting stuff to people. I mean, like he was really trying to get it out there. So they were trying to push that, and you saw it in the movie. They pushed it by any means necessary. However they could sell those records, because they had the street buzz out west in California, LA particular. And once it caught on like wildfire.
So I'm looking at the discography for Ruthless real quick. 88, they dropped JJ Fad, NWA, Straight Outta Compton, and Eazy Does It, all in 88.
Yeah.
At a small boutique label at the time.
The greatest, I always say, man, it's the greatest year in hip hop, 1988. If you don't believe it,
88?
No, hands down.
More than 94?
Hands down. 94 is dope, but 94 is top heavy. If you look at the best albums from 1988 and you look at the best album, now this is a whole nother podcast, but it is, and I'll probably do it on the Rap Soul podcast, but no, 94 is incredible. 94 is one of the best years ever. 94 might be second, but it's top heavy. When you start getting the albums 4, 5, 6, 7, then it starts to tail off. 88 doesn't do that. Listen, you know what? And I won't stay on this because I know we got to get to something else. But I'm going to give you this. In 1988 alone, there were, I want to say, without looking at it, I want to say there were, and correct me if I'm wrong, 9 albums.
If you like that, what we talking on this Hip Hop What If, make sure you tap in and go over to Hip Hop What If and subscribe right now, because it's all kind of different discussions we're going to be having on there. And maybe one of your favorite artists may be on there in this episode of What If.